Hi, welcome to Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday, and it's time to impress the masses with your best taco recipes. 1 to 6 players will gather to ingredients, cook tacos, and acquire marketing skills to play against your opponents in order to collect the most customers. Whichever player collects the most customers by the end of the game will win the game. So this is Taco Tuesday and the initial setup. We'll go over how the game is played, but first we're going to play a 2-player game with myself as Mateo and then my opponent as Diego. So we're going to go ahead and take out all the other colors off this popularity track right here. So this will be randomized each game. So in this case I will go first and my opponent will go second. And then we'll start with our starting resources, which are here on your little player board. It has a layout of the round and how each round will be played, as well as your starting hand. So the starting hand is going to be 3 ingredient cards. We'll draw those. We'll draw 1 recipe card, and then you get a coin equal to your place on the popularity track. So I'm at the top. I get 1 coin, and my opponent would get 2. So we'll do that, and then you're ready to start. So we'll go over a full round, and then we'll go over what happens at the end, and that should cover pretty much everything you need to know to play the game. So this is Taco Tuesday. The first round, each round is going to be basically 2 phases of the game, and then a setup for the rest of the next round. So the first phase of the game is visiting the vendors. So we'll grab the top 2 cards off of your player deck, and that's going to be these 2 locations here, the market and the grocery store. If you're playing with 3 or more players, you'll use the supermarket as well, and if you play with 5 or 6 players, you'll play with the warehouse. In this case, we got the 2, which are going to be the market and the grocery store. So what we'll do there is you can set these aside, pull out the ones you're not using, and then you can right-click it and hit search, and that'll let you choose which location you want to go to, and since they're face down, they'll stay face down. If I want to go to the market, then I'll grab this card and I'll put it out on the board here, and then my opponent will choose which one they want to go to and put it out on the board, and then everyone will simultaneously reveal which location they're going to. If 2 players go to the same location, then they're going to split the ingredients that are there. So it'll go in popularity order. Whoever's first will get to choose first, and then the next player will get to choose next. Okay, so if 2 players go to the same location, then in popularity order, you'll each grab 1 ingredient at a time. So in this case, I might grab hot sauce, my opponent might grab guacamole. Now if we go to different locations, however, so if my opponent goes to the grocery store and I go to the market, then you would get everything at the location you went to as long as no one else is there. Now finally, if we both went to the grocery store, since there's 3 there, and I would be collecting my ingredients first, then I would get 1, then my opponent would get to choose 1, and then I would get the additional. So it's good to be first because you can get additional cards if there's an uneven amount. So after we visit the vendors, then we're going to go and place our workers. So if you look at this, before you place a worker, you can play any number of marketing cards. So we'll go over that once we get to the marketing cards, but for now we don't have any, so we would be placing our workers. So let me set this back up, and we'll go over the different locations that you can visit. So there's a few different types of locations. Each of the resource locations is going to have 2 different spots you can visit. There'll be one that only 1 worker can go to, so as soon as someone goes there, no one else can go there. And that gives you an additional resource. So this one would give you 3 recipe cards, and then everyone else that goes to collect recipe cards would have to go to this spot here that only gives you 2. But that spot will also give you an additional popularity. So this popularity here is on your player board, and this track will, as we talked about before, determine the player order for each round, but it also will give you bonuses, bonus coins, and customers throughout the game. So if that player goes there, then they would get 1 popularity, and then the other thing about these spots is this here shows that you'll get a popularity for every worker that's at that location. So the first player is going to get that one and that one, so they'll get 2. Now the next player to go there, if I went there as well, then I would get the 2 recipes, but I would also get the 1 popularity and 2 popularity because there's 2 of us there now. So I would get 3 popularity for going there. So that's how those spots work. So there's recipe testing, which is going to be collecting these recipe cards from the deck. You don't ever draw from the popular recipes unless you have a specific action that lets you. The extra shift is going to give you 4 coins if you can get there first. If you get there afterwards, or if you choose to skip that spot and go here, you can get 2 coins and 1 popularity, plus an additional 1 for each worker there. The other spot you can go to is this pantry, which will allow you to draw ingredient cards from the ingredient deck. You can draw 3 cards if you go here. You can draw 2 cards and get 1 popularity plus 1 per worker if you go to this spot. Any number of players can go to the spots that have the infinity on them. There's no limit. You'll just get additional popularity for every worker that's already there. Now this special spot over here is the hire employee. This spot will cost you 12 coins and will give you an additional worker. So if I go there, I pay 12 coins and I take a worker and put it next to me. And at the end of the round, when we collect our workers back, I will get that additional worker to use on future rounds. So those are the main resource spots to collect things that you'll need. Now what you need them for is going to be the main purpose of the game, which is to collect customers. In order to get customers, we need to cook tacos and add tacos to our recipe, to our menu, and then we also need to perform marketing actions. So the marketing actions are kind of like powered up actions that let us do stuff we can't normally do throughout the game. Will also give us all sorts of bonuses and popularity. And the popularity, again, will help us collect customers, coins, and will allow us to go before our opponents in future rounds. So after everyone has placed all their workers, then we're going to set up for the next round. So we'll return our workers back to our boards, and then we're going to resolve the popularity gained. So if I had gained 4 popularity and my opponent had gained 2, then I would get to go to the top of the popularity track. So whoever gets the most goes to the top, and then you go in popularity order, and then this will, as it says at the bottom, you'll get your bonuses and you'll reset the popularity each round. So that is not cumulative. You're going to do it each round. You're going to get those bonuses and then reset and determine who is going to go first. Now, if there's any sort of tie on how much is gained for the round, then whatever order those players that are tied are in are going to move together. So if the players are tied for second most, then they would keep the order that they're in and go in the second and third spots. So that's how that works. And then you'll collect any bonuses that you earned from the popularity track. So you'll look on the track, and anything that you came to or passed, so if I got to that spot, you would collect. So I'd get, if I went 5, I'd get the 2 coins and 1 customer. Now bonus customers are scored here on your player board as well. So anytime you get bonus customers where it says +1 or plus any number, then it goes on this board, and that'll keep track of your bonus customers throughout the game. After we have collected all our bonuses, then we'll refill the vendors. So looks like I grabbed that one. Okay, so in refilling the vendors, each vendor has a little chart that shows you if there are no ingredients there, you're going to add that big number there, which would be 2 at the market or 3 at the grocery store. Now, if no one visited that vendor in the previous round, then there's still some ingredients there. They'll stay there, and then you'll add this smaller number to it. So in this case, if there were still 3 there, you would add 1 more, and now there's 4. And then the next round, you'd add 1 more, and that would be 5. Now, anytime it gets to 5 or more, and it's time to add ingredients to it, if there's already 5 or 6 there, then you're going to discard all of them, and then add this lower number to the store to reset it. So it's reset back to 3 or 2, depending on the vendor. And the next thing and final thing that you'll do to reset the round, to set up for the next round, is to draw and shift a new trend card. So in this case, we would draw this and scoot this over, and we draw a new trend. If there's a minor recipe, minor shift, or any sort of shift card, then you'll perform that shift, and then you'll draw a new trend card. So in this case, I would discard the furthest most recipe from the popular recipe track. Everything would move down, and then we draw 1 additional. Now, once you've done that, you can set that card aside and draw another card, and that's the new trend. So these trends are going to scoot across until they get to the end, and then once you've gone through all of them, this one no longer will give you a bonus, and it shows you right here how many you go to until the end of the game. So in a 1 to 3 player game, as soon as there's 3 cards here at the end, that will signify it's the final round. You'll finish the round, do some final scoring stuff, and then the game will be over. So we'll go back to this, and let's do an example of how one of the rounds works. So in this case, I'm looking at my, I should have 1 more card, so let's go ahead and draw 1. So I'm looking at my starting resources here. I got my 3 ingredients, my recipe, and then let's just pretend my opponent has theirs. So I'm going to start by looking over here at the popular recipes and then my recipe here, and see if there's any tacos that I can cook anytime soon. So in this case, the California taco requires a protein, an avocado, and a lime. I have a lime and a protein. So let me see if I can get an avocado. Looks like there's one in the market. So that'll help me decide, because this one gives me the most bonus points for cooking. Then I would probably want to go to that grocery store. So let's say I go to the grocery store. So I'm going to put my card out there. My opponent's going to go here. Let's say they go to the grocery store as well. So I get to go first. So I'm going to pick up that avocado because I know I can build a taco with it. And then my opponent is going to pick up, let's say, those tomatoes. And then I would pick up that pork. So now that we've visited the vendors, we go to the next section, which is the marketing and workers. I don't have any marketing cards to play because I haven't picked any up yet. And we will go over that here in a second. But for the sake of explaining these recipes, let's do that first. So I want to cook this taco. So what I'm going to do is send a worker here. Now, on these spots, I also get 1 popularity for every worker that's there already. I'm the first one there, so I just get the 1. But I'm going to get at least bonus 4 because I'm cooking this taco right here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to put the taco in front of me. Now, each of these recipes is going to have these line items. Each represents 1 card that you have to discard in order to play that recipe. And then down here in the corner, you have what you will get for cooking that recipe. So you would get 4 customers. It doesn't have a plus, so that means this is just worth 4 at the end of the game. You don't add them to your bonuses. But this plus here for the 2 coins means I'm going to collect 2 coins as soon as I cook this taco. Now, this one is also a produce taco, which will give me a bonus customer because it is trending at the moment. Now, if I waited 2 more rounds, it would be worth an extra 3 instead of an extra 1. So I could wait, but then my opponent might get it before me. So I'm going to go ahead and cook it first. So I get these 5 popularity. So let's go ahead and move the 5, and then I'm going to play, I can do chicken or pork, so I might look and see, let's see, fish, and then these are just any protein cards. So anytime there's not a name there, it's just a blank category, the categories are up in the top right of each card, then that just means anything from that category. It's also the colors and the background of each of the cards represents that category. So this chef special, as you'll see, is just a protein card, 3 vegetables, and a topping card. And they can be whatever you want. But this one will also give you some other bonuses that you don't normally get. So I've gotten my bonus there. I'm going to play a chicken because I don't see pork or chicken anywhere in there, so it doesn't really matter which one I use. I'm going to do avocado, and I'll do this lime here. Now some of these cards will have a bonus on them, and those bonuses will give you various things when you cook with that ingredient. So in this case, a massive lime will actually give me an additional ingredient card when I cook with that. So I'm going to discard the cards that I need to cook my taco, and I get to draw an ingredient card. Well, look, another avocado. So now I get my bonus, which is the 1 popularity, so I get 1 more. That's good. Now I have another customer that I'll get at the end of the round. And then my turn is over, so my opponent will go. Now let's say my opponent, as soon as you finish cooking a taco, everything scoots down 1 more spot and gets refilled right away. But that does not happen until you complete your turn in cooking that taco. Now, in some cases, you may not have every ingredient you need to cook a taco. And so it's totally okay and encouraged to substitute ingredients that you don't have by discarding an ingredient card or a recipe card from your hand. If you do that, then you lose 1 customer, so you have to have some bonus customers before you can do that. So if I had, say, 3 bonus customers, you'll get those at the end of the round anytime you gain enough popularity. So I would lose a customer and then discard either an ingredient or a recipe to the deck. And now, if I want to cook this taco and I don't have everything I need, like the fish or the topping, so I would, in this case, I'd have to have a topping card. I wouldn't be able to do it without a fish or a topping because I'd have to substitute twice, which you can do. You would have to discard another card and lose another customer to substitute 2. But for the sake of explaining how it works, if I didn't have the fish, I could play any card in its place and then a vegetable and then pretend I had a topping card. So I would be able to cook that fish taco. It just gives me 1 fewer customers. I still collect the coins, which we actually didn't do for that first taco I cooked. So I'll go ahead and grab those 2 coins right there. So you can just hover over the bag and press the number for how many coins you want to get. They go in your hand, and then you can pull them out here. They are open information, so everyone can see them. So now my opponent might go and cook a taco, or they might go to the marketing section and learn some marketing skills. So to do this, it's a little different than cooking the tacos because you don't actually have to pay for it when you collect it. So by going to this space, you can either collect 2 marketing cards from the deck, so you just draw 2 off the top, or you can take one of these face-up ones, and if you take a face-up one, you'll get the bonus popularity shown above it. So my opponent might go here, and they're going to collect this card here, so they get 1, because they're the only one there, and then they'll get the 4 bonus ones, so they would get 5 popularity just for picking that card up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that would be the end of their turn. This would scoot down, and it would be my turn again. So I would play another worker, and then they would play their other worker, and then you would go to set up the end of the round. So at the end of the round, then we'd get our workers back, and we would determine who has more popularity, and then they would. So then now they're at the front of the track, and they get to go first in the next round. So then we'd collect our bonuses. They would get 2 customers and 2 coins, and then so there you get the 2. And then I would collect mine, so I didn't get any. but I would get my 2 customers and 2 coins as well. So I would scoot mine over, and then I have 3, so I can put these away and get a 5. So that's how the rounds work. You'll continue to do that, like I said, until it gets to the end. And on the final round, so we did that minor shift. So the recipe minor shift, we explained earlier, so I won't go over that again. So we'll go here, and then once we've gone and we have 3 cards here, so these would all be moved down here. And then that means when that card gets down here, that's the final round. So this, we'll go over this real quick. Inexpensive. So that refers to any marketing card that costs exactly 2 coins to play. Now when you play a marketing card, remember we play those before we place a worker. You're going to pay the coins shown in the top left corner, and then you collect the popularity and you perform the action on the card. So in this case, I would gain 3 customers. I would get the 4 popularity, and at the end of the game, each marketing card is going to be worth 1 customer, regardless of what it is. Now, some of the marketing cards have this purple background, and these are reusable cards. So these are going to activate for various reasons throughout the game. So a lot of them are going to be these expert cards, where every time you use, for instance, this stake, then you would gain 1 popularity and 1 coin just for using a stake card in your taco. You could use more than 1 stake card in some tacos if they required more proteins, or if you did a substitution, you'd be able to use that. So each time you use a stake card, you would get a popularity and a coin. And when you play the card, you're going to get that 1 popularity for playing it. So that's how those work. Now in the very final round, let's say we go around and maybe we've gained some more workers or whatever. So after we've gone around on the final round and collected everything, some people may have some marketing cards in their hand and maybe some coins to spend. So, and maybe they've gained some popularity. So at the end of the final round, what we do that's a little different is we're kind of going to do this, but we're not setting up for the next round. So we won't refill the vendors, and we won't do a new trend. But what we will do is resolve the popularity, and the popularity track will gain our bonuses. And then everyone has 1 special final turn where they can play any marketing cards that they're able to from their hand, and then rescore the popularity track. So in this case, let's say this is how it ends. So I'm going to get my 1, 2, 3, 4 customers, and then I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 coins. So let's put 1 back and grab a 5. And then my opponent would get theirs, so they get 4 customers and 4 coins as well. So let's go ahead and do that. They get the 5, they get 4 customers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now that everyone's resolved that, and let's say I was in front, so I get to go first. So now in popularity order, everyone will play any marketing cards they have left, because on the last round you might be picking up some marketing cards from the deck and want to be able to play them. So in this case I would play, let's see, I have 8, so I have 10 coins, so I can play both of these. So I can grab this one, that would give me 4 popularity. It doesn't fit any of these trends that give me bonuses, so I would not get a bonus, but I do get 3 customers for playing that card. And then I'm going to pay the 6 coins, and then I'll pay these 2 coins and do this one as well, which will let me grab 4 recipes from the deck, but that doesn't do me any good at the end of the game. But I do get that 1 popularity, so that will help me because I'll get another coin. So I spent 8 coins, so I get 2 back. And then my opponent would do any marketing cards they had in their hands, and they might move up a little bit too. And then at the very end of the game, when everyone has done that, we will get the bonuses from these popularities. So I'd get 2 more coins and a customer, and then my opponent would get another coin and another customer. So that is now the end of the game, so we'll move into scoring. So that goes back. So for scoring's sake, what you're going to do is, let's pretend I played a bunch of these, and maybe my opponent played a few. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more than that. So when you do your scoring, you're going to score all of the recipes that you have on your menu. So in this case, I would get another 14 points. So there's 10 and then 4 more. And then every marketing card that you've played is going to be one additional customer. So in this case, I would get 2 more. Now my opponent would get 10 points. So they're going to go here. And then they would get 1 for that. And then once you scored all your recipes and your marketing cards, then every 5 coins that you have left over will give you 1 additional customer. So I only have 4, that would give me nothing. He has 9, so that means he can turn this 5 in and get 1 more customer. Then once you've scored all that, then you see who has the most points. I have 22. He has 19. I would win. That's the end of the game. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more points because you're going to go through 6 rounds of the game, or 5 rounds of the game if you have 4 to 6 players. That's Taco Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have fun playing the game. We'll go ahead and reset it real quick, and I will show you how to play a single player game. So a single player game is going to play exactly the same with a few changes just to make things a lot easier to play by yourself. So I'm going to grab these top 2 cards here. So just like we do in the other game. And then you can pick any of these opponents to play against, and each of them has their own solo deck, which they're stylized a little differently in the locations that they prefer to visit and the bonuses that they get. So we'll go over that real quick when we get there. But you would still start with your starting cards, so I get my 3 ingredients, my 1 taco, and then it looks like my opponent would go first in this case. So we'll go ahead and they get, I would get 2 coins because I'm second. And now one difference in playing solo is that any opponents you play against do not gain coins, they do not collect ingredients, and they do not perform the actions on any of the marketing cards. What they do get are going to be the customers, they'll get the popularity, and they'll get any bonuses, and they will also send their workers to locations, and those will resolve as they do in the normal game. Okay, so in this case, when you decide where your opponent's going to go as far as the vendors, you're going to put their 2 cards in a deck, you're going to randomize it, and then you'll play it. So we both go to the market. Now, can you guys stop? So in this case, if we both go here, my opponent goes first. So we flip these over, make a deck, and then for your opponent's choice, they're going to shuffle it and discard one that they choose. And then you would draw the other one into your hand. So anytime your opponent gets to choose a card, whether it's from the 3 or from the 2, however it works out, whenever it's their turn, you just turn it into a deck, shuffle it, and discard one. Since they don't ever collect the ingredients, they just get discarded. And then the other difference that it's going to be is when it's their turn to send a worker to a location, you're going to use this deck here, and you're going to draw a card from the deck. So that card will tell you where they send their worker. So they might send it to a marketing location, and then pick up a card from the face up. So in this case, they would take the 3rd one from the deck. So 1, 2, 3, and it tells you what the bonus is right next to it. So the +3, so they're going to take this one. So you will score their bonus points. So they get the 3 plus the 1, so they get 4 points, popularity points. And then you also get whatever the card gives you. So they would get 8 popularity points in this case. And then you shift these down. Now every card in the solo deck also gets an additional bonus that's in the bottom right. It's going to be either customers or popularity, or there's a couple other options in there. So they would get an additional 4 for that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was a very good turn for him. So then I would take my turn. I get to go wherever I want. If I want to collect one of these, that gives me 2 popularity. Maybe I grab this one. That gives me 4 more. So I would get 6. And that would go there. Now, in some cases, they might grab, so let me show you, they might pull one of these cards, which allows them to draw 2 from the deck. So just like in the normal game, those would go into their hand, but anytime your solo opponent pulls cards from the deck or anywhere else, they play them automatically. So they would get that one and that one, so they would get 2 popularity. Plus, if there's any bonuses to resolve, so let's say if the labor one was out here and they got 2 for each labor card, they just played 2 of them. So that means they would get 4 more. So you got to keep an eye on the trends. You got to keep an eye on the locations and how many workers are there, and then the bonuses. So that's how, and then they would get those 3 customers as well. Now, some of these cards, for instance, so if they cook the 5th card, they obviously don't need to have any ingredients. It's just going to assume that they have them. So they get the 5. They would get all the bonuses. You send their worker there and resolve that. So let's go ahead and pull up the other type of bonus that they might have. Actually, we'll go over this real quick. So in some cases, they'll visit these resource locations. So anytime they go here, if there's no one at the spot that only holds 1 worker, you would go there and they would go there first. Now, if there is someone there, then they would go to the spot down below. So that's kind of the priority order for those. They're going to go there first, or there if there's no one there. You would still get the bonus, so they would get the 3 customers, 1, 2, 3. And then they're basically blocking that spot. There is 1 spot in each deck, so let me go ahead and search for it and find. There's going to be 1 card in each deck, this one right here, that has this icon in the bottom right, which is to draw another action card. So that icon represents these solo action cards. So anytime that comes up, you would still place the worker on that location, and then you're going to draw another card. And this card, they're not going to send a worker to. It's just going to assume that they played a marketing card that lets them perform an action without sending a worker. So in this case, they would cook this 5th taco. You would not get the bonus for the number of customers there because you're not sending a customer, but you would get the +4, and you would get the +2 customers here, and then any trend bonuses they would get if there was a trend bonus that corresponded with that. So there are also in this deck cards that allow them to hire an additional employee, just like you can. They might get another employee, so in that case you would send their worker to the hire employee spot. You would give them their additional worker that they get on the next round, and then they would have 3 workers on the next round. So in that case, you would be drawing a card for each time that they send a worker out. So in this case, you would now have 3. So on the next round, you would be drawing 3 cards for them, and those would be the spots that they visit. So that's it. Other than that, it's just a 2-player game, unless you're playing with more than 1 solo opponent, which you can do. And once you get to 3 cards back here, just like in a normal game, then you would go to the final round where people can play their marketing cards and then resolve all the bonuses and then do final scoring. So that's how you do solo. If you have any questions, go ahead and hop on Discord. I can answer them for you, and hope you have fun. Thanks.